Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my review of Season 7, Episode 2 of Game of Thrones on HBO, which was called Stormborn. And as much as I liked last week's episode, I didn't think it was like a mind blowing episode, but I just was happy with it. Of course, unsurprisingly, successfully re-emerging me back into the world and getting me ready for the final two seasons. And along with the fact that I full well know that these last two seasons are going to be more tightly paced, even more so than the show usually is. Due to the 7 and 6 episode number count. I still didn't expect this episode to be as damn good as it was, and I guess I really, really liked it. I thought it was even better than the premiere, even though, again, I did like the premiere. Just a lot going on. It all felt, just really well put together, as Game of Thrones always does, but just a lot of great little things going on, as far as like a character dynamics, character movement, plot progression. Then we get a pretty good and pretty effective battle scene, kind of a big statement for Euron Greyjoy as a villain, I'd say. But we'll talk more about that final sequence in a few minutes here. And before I forget, I also want to mention Samuel Tarly, of course, treating Jorah Mormont. I'm not saying it's not a big deal or anything. I just wanted to talk about this before I get into the other, or get into the nitty gritty of the episode, I guess you could say, if that phrase still exists. But yeah, Sam has taken it upon himself to, treat Jorah, of his grayscale. He has it on his chest and, of course, along his arm and everything. The main Meister there doesn't believe that they should attempt to remedy it, or, every other way has failed, and the guy who came up with a way to possibly do it died of grayscale, so, what does that tell you? But Sam, he has one of the biggest hearts on the show, and especially after he hears the name Mormont, of course they knew the Lord Commander, his father, back in the Night's Watch in the earlier seasons. So he does attempt this pretty brutally, like peeling off, like cutting and then peeling off the grayscale. It's like a patch at a time. It looks, unpleasant, I'll say that. And so that was pretty good. And of course we also have, Jon Snow. Well, before we get into the Jon Snow stuff, we should also talk about, Daenerys. And I just loved, it's almost like a crossover is happening right now in a way, despite the show being on for 6 seasons before this. The fact that characters like Jon Snow and Daenerys are finally, going to be coming together. They've never shared the screen together before on the show, so it feels like the big crossover of the Game of Thrones universe in a way. And it was cool even hearing Tyrion hear about Jon Snow and all he's done. And how much Tyrion still respects him, and how probably impressed he is by Jon becoming king of the North and everything like that. I thought that was really cool, and then how Tyrion actually sends Jon Snow a letter, and they're trying to set up some kind of ally with him and Daenerys, of course. But both of them have kind of people on their sides, or they themselves, that are a little bit uneven about how they want things to go with that. Because Jon, especially once he knows, from Sam that, underneath Dragonstone is, Dragon Glass, the supply of that, he's more driven to, ally with her. Not like we've just attacked her before, but then you have Sansa on his side saying, oh no, how it could be a trap. Even though Jon reminds her that, or they kind of both bring up that Tyrion was kind to her and he's not like the other Lannisters. They still think it might be some kind of trap or something, which I really don't get. And everyone else seems kind of blind, or at least just fixated on the fact that Daenerys is the Mad King's daughter, or at least related and everything like that. I just I know who her family is. Okay, I just misspoke because it's pretty hot, and I'm whatever. Everyone else just seems fixated on that fact and thinks she's just gonna lash out and try to barrel through everyone in the country. without any like reason to it whatsoever. So I think Sansa's being a little bit. I don't know if I want to say narrow-minded. Some people could argue that Jon Snow's being too optimistic or too. I don't know. I don't want to say trusting because it's not like he fully trusts her yet. But maybe some people think Sansa, she sees as more logically. Because of the world of Game of Thrones, maybe it's better if you assume that everyone could, jump out and kill you. But still, I like that Jon Snow still took it upon himself to go and see what Tyrion and Daenerys had to say, and he sees the big picture again, Jon pulling through for the good of everyone, whether they realize it or not, that they need powerful allies for what's to come, with the White Walkers and everything. And Tyrion seems to see that as well from his side. But of course, Daenerys sounds like she'll want Jon, to bend the knee and everything, but it doesn't sound like Jon will care as much about that, either way, whether he does or he doesn't. I don't think he will just do that, but at the same time, he sees a bigger picture, so it doesn't matter as much to him as it would like someone like Daenerys or Sansa at this point, really. We also have a moment between, Jon Snow and Littlefinger. Jon's looking at his father's, statue, where he's buried, and then they mention that Tyrion had sent his remains, to them as a gesture of goodwill, way earlier on. Again, showing that Tyrion's a good person. Even Jon Snow remembers him as a good man, and they share that phrase, "You never be ashamed of who you are." Everyone's a bastard in their father's eyes, and things like that. I like Jon Snow actually speaking up for Tyrion there too. I'm really excited for them to have a scene together again. It should be great. I can't wait for next week. Jon Snow taking Littlefinger by the throat was awesome. So you can tell Littlefinger he's probably going to end up trying to angle Sansa against Jon somehow, manipulate her that way. I hope Sansa doesn't go too far with that. But I think it went a long way for Sansa that Jon Snow left her in control of the North while he's away. So hopefully that kind of clears up Sansa's mind a little more, reminds her, what good Jon is trying to do and what good he is himself, I mean. So I thought that was also really good, despite me being a little bit frustrated with how Sansa is thinking things right now. But again, it is somewhat logical, being in this world and everything. But we all know Jon's kind of in the right here. And yeah. So that was all good, I thought. I just love those character dynamics, and again, sort of that crossover, coming together, even though they've been in the same show for a while. We've never seen the characters on screen together. We also had some, a few scenes with Cersei in this episode as well, which was fine. It was good too, because we have, her being shown a weapon they can actually use against the dragons, this really big, spear gun type of thing. Shows, with the trophies Robert had, in the, I don't want to say in the basement, but, from the original dragons and stuff like that, and the sphere can actually, break the dragon's skull, apparently. So yeah, it's going to be pretty bad. Do I think they're actually going to be able to kill any of Daenerys' dragons? I don't know. I think they'd at least want all three of them, at the very least two, for the White Walker battle when that happens. Because maybe they'll get to kill one. Maybe Euron and everything will bring down one of them somehow. But then I see the Drogon and the other surviving, and then, probably the one dying against the White Walkers and Drogon maybe making it out, if not dying at the very last second for Daenerys or something, I don't know. But then all our dragons will be gone, so I don't know. But I think they might manage to kill one of them, but I still think they're going to end up being defeated, of course, somehow. Still, it definitely makes things feel a little bit more uneasy now, with us all imagining just Daenerys plowing through. And she has that idea at first, just to mount this large assault on, Westeros, just try and assault all the cities, destroy everything in their path, because it is a war, as Oberyn's wife says. But Tyrion, again, planning the right strategy here to go about it in a different way. So I really think it's great to have a brilliant mind like Tyrion behind Daenerys. I said that from the beginning before he, met her in season 5. And I think everyone knows that too, but anyway. So I liked all that, and I really liked the stuff with Arya in this episode too, her saying hot pie again, that was fun. Her calling him, him calling her, Ari and stuff like that. him trying to find out about what she's been through. Of course, she kind of brushes off those types of questions, but she does find out from him that Jon is king of the North, and it seems to, she's just in disbelief. She didn't think that her family would be in that position again, especially Jon Snow, who had been, sort of held down his whole life because of being, supposedly Ned Stark's bastard. So I think she's on her way to, Winterfell right now. She's just, she's stoked as hell, basically. And I can't blame her. I love Arya, by the way. I did my top 10 Game of Thrones characters list. I put her at like 6 or 7, I think. I put her at 7. I put Cersei at 5, Sansa at 6. But I think I might have to put Arya at 5 now. I have to go correct that. I really like this, and then when she was surrounded by the wolves and she sees her old, dire wolf. Did you say it wasn't hers at the end or something? I don't know, but when she brings up who she is and the dire wolf gets more of a sense of her, they do back off. So either way, that's still good. I think that might come into play later, either this season or the next, and have one of them help her out. I think that'd be great. I really liked the Arya stuff this season as well. So I'm sure there's things I didn't mention about this episode, but I just want to say I really enjoyed it. I rated last week's episode like a 9.2 or 9.3 out of 10. Honestly, gonna have to rate this one between like a 9.4, 9.6, within the range, 9.4 or 5 or 6, somewhere in there. Just a really good episode, and I honestly don't think I'm gonna be rating a Game of Thrones episode any lower than what I've given them so far. Just a fantastic episode, and next week should be even better, I think, potentially. And I also can't believe I almost forgot to mention Euron's assault on Theon and his sister. The sort of naval battle we got there. Not really naval battle, but him boarding the ship. I liked the way it was shot. It felt very creepy, very intense with the way he came against him. Seeing the Sand Snakes killed by Euron and everything was pretty brutal as well. I didn't care much for the Sand Snakes, but still it definitely makes a statement for what kind of an antagonist Euron can be. I think it's definitely been Euron's best episode so far as a threat, and maybe he's bringing them as a way, maybe this is his gift to Cersei to show what he did to a fleet that is allied to Daenerys. And Theon, he unfortunately cowardly jumps off instead of trying to fight for his sister, which was unfortunate, but obviously triggered some still damage to his psyche that he has from his experiences with Ramsay and everything. So I understand, but at the same time, it's unfortunate to see him go that route again. We'll see. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, subscribe. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.